My rant for the day is based upon Commissioner Costa, the police commissioner, who I have long argued is ill-equipped intellectually and emotionally for the role of police commissioner. And for as long as he stays in that particular position, he will frustrate the endeavours of the coalition government to ensure that there is accountability for police policy and planning, and particularly directed at their Molesworth Street headquarters. But I'd need, and as a consequence of that, today, just as I've been arguing this, lands the report Understanding Police Delivery, which suggests that your average policeman, and I say this to all of you, every police personnel in this country, wherever you serve, whether you're on the front line or in the back rooms, whether you're a policy boffin in Wellington or whether you're whether you're on the front line and doing an outstanding job in a place like South Auckland, or dealing with gangs and organised crime, picking up the pieces from road smashes, or alternatively dealing with particularly emotional child custody or domestic violence cases, or even somebody who should be in a mental institution has suddenly gone mad somewhere and you're on the front line dealing with that. This is the message that Commissioner Costa has given to you. You are a racist, biased piece of work. And you are somebody who is working for an organisation that is inherently biased and racist against Maori and Pacific Islanders, and you personally, and the way in which you conduct yourself, are a racist piece of proverbial. Now, who said that? Well, the independent panel appointed by Commissioner Costa in 2022, for reasons that make no real sense, into suggesting that there was a structural or an institutional problem with the police in which they deal with criminals. You see, there is a contention from those on the liberal left and the woke weirdness that emanates from there, that the reason that there are so many Maori folk and Pacific Island folk in our prisons or coming before our courts is nothing to do with the crimes that they have committed, but everything to do with the colour of their skin and the origin of their culture, and that they are inherently biased against, even though they may have committed the latest rape, manslaughter, child killing, theft, assault, selling of drugs, whatever it takes to get you into the justice system these days, that they are there not because they have committed these heinous acts against us all, but because the police are racist, biased bastards, and that they have deliberately chosen to bring those people to account for their crimes, not because they've committed them, but because they're brown. This is the inherent and summarised view of this new report, Understanding Police Delivery. And it has been reported upon, according to one superintendent who was interviewed this morning on Radio New Zealand. He said he found the results very challenging, and so would the police. Well, you would, when you've been told that you are a biased, racist bastard, and that it's part of the institution also that you work for, and that you are more likely to stop Maori men, or Pacific Islanders, but Maori men in particular, taser them and prosecute them because you are a biased, racist person, which is ironic in actual fact because the ethnic, socio-economic and ethnic composition of the police at the moment would, I think, be probably pretty representative of society in general, but there you go. And I was wondering, now, how did they come to that conclusion and on what did they base this? And so I read, unfortunately, the report, and discovered that it was essentially based on a series of anecdotal stories told by people who were brown, who had interactions with people. Now, it's my common experience that when criminals are caught by legal authorities in this country, whatever ethnicity or colour, they have a dreadful tendency to say, "It's not me, Gov," and suggest that there is some form of wrongness within the police and within the justice system that has seen them end up behind bars or prosecuted or tasered even. It's not anything that they've done, it's the fault of the institution and the people that they're dealing with. And so as a result of that, and you know this as well as I, that your average criminal doesn't tend to go that there's anything wrong that he or she's done. It's all everybody else's fault. That's the nature of the criminal mind and the criminal blame shifting, and I didn't do it. Yeah, well, what is all that stuff doing there then? I don't know how that got there. No. Why is there blood all over me? I've got no idea. God, I must have cut myself shaving. Oh, yeah, what about the dead body at your feet? That sort of stuff. Anyhow, so off goes this independent panel appointed by Commissioner Costa to investigate whether or not there is some sort of horrible racist institutional bias within the New Zealand police. Now, if they were a genuinely independent panel, and if they used genuine empirical research, and if they utilised a discerning intellect, you might take seriously their report, but they didn't. But then I had a look at the panel that was chosen by Commissioner Costa, and I thought to myself, why would Commissioner Costa choose a panel that really didn't need to do 3 years of research or listen to any anecdotal stories, because you already knew what they thought and that they had publicly proclaimed such? And here they are. The chairman of the panel that has now come out and produced this report is Professor Kylie Quince. Now, you know Professor Kylie Quince. She's a Maori law professor at AUT, not really a university, but they give it that title, who earlier this year was quite happy to refer to people who are involved in debates arguing that tikanga Maori should not be compulsorily introduced into our law schools as, quote, racist dinosaurs. Let's not talk about the arguments being raised. Let's just, again, pejoratively refer to anybody who's got a different view to Kylie Quince as a racist dinosaur. And why don't they go and die quietly in the corner? Okay, she's the chairperson of this panel appointed by Commissioner Costa. She replaced, in actual fact, Kim Workman, well-known patron saint of the liberal left, a apologist for criminals for decades. That's always been his research. Criminals don't commit crime, society commits it. And these poor criminals are victims of society. That's pretty much been Kim's Workman thesis for, the last 20, 30 years. Now, wait on. Commissioner Costa appointed those two to lead the panel into institutional racism and bias in the police. Oh, no, but it gets better. There are another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 who joined that panel. And I've only had, and most of them I don't know, okay? I've never heard of them before. But I have then researched them. One of them is Dr. Penny Hagan, the director of Tangata Tiriti at the Auckland Co-Design Lab. And you would assume from her background, well disposed towards believing that the Maori dimension has a preeminence. There's Rahui Papa from the Waikato Tainui Governance Group and a leading policy advisor to the Iwi Leaders Forum. You know, the group of people that's saying that we should have special privileges and rights in this country. There's Professor Paul Spoonley, to be fair to Professor Paul Spooney, we've had him on the show, but he is a Liberal and everybody knows it. An academic with a strong Liberal bent, always been there. And then there is a Maori activist like Lady Turiti Moxon, who in actual fact has been leading the charge, or one of some of the charges against government policies at the Waitangi Tribunal. I haven't gone through the rest of them, I will, but just enough to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of those had a predisposed view of Maori bias or bias against Maori and institutional racism of police long before they were ever appointed to this allegedly independent panel. Now, all I'm saying is, what possessed Commissioner Costa to appoint people with well-defined, publicly expressed, clearly biased views when it comes to the police? Why would you appoint people unless you had an ulterior motive, and that was that you wanted this independent panel to come to a conclusion that you had reached, Commissioner Costa? He could have appointed a whole series of eminent criminologists, victims advocates, conspicuously missing, I might add, from this independent panel, people with from the Police Association. He could have people who are actually engaged in the street with criminals, the mentally ill, whatever. He could have appointed any of those people, but he didn't. He chose people to arrive at what would appear to be a clearly predetermined outcome. I think when Commissioner Costa argues that he has got the best interests of the police at heart, and then he performs this kind of role and appoints these kind of people, knowing that they must inevitably come to the conclusion that they've come to, then he isn't the Commissioner of Police. He is the saboteur of police process, of police morale, and of the very group that he is meant to be the leader of. This man is unfit for the role. I have told you on many occasions, but this is just the latest piece of evidence of a man who was quite prepared to put his own police organisation in the firing line and then assemble the firing squad. And lo and behold, they fired. He's got to go. Those are my views. What are yours?